This week, it's Polestar 2. If you ticked all the boxes for this car, for this Polestar 2 dual motor all-wheel drive performance, you would be spending $101,000 or just under if you live in New South Wales. For that, you do get some pretty little additions. You get gold bits, gold seat belts and gold air filler caps. You do get other things as well, but 4.7 seconds to 100 in anyone's language is plenty. And it's on the same platform as the Volvo XC40 and C40, both of which we've tested over the last few months. The Polestar 2 is a four-door kind of liftback. The C40 is a four-door hatchback, although it's more of a fastback SUV, and the XC40 is what Volvo calls an SUV, but they've all got the same motors, same batteries, and the same Google operating system. What I particularly like is with the boot open, there's quite a decent space inside, given that this is an all-wheel drive performance model. Other than that, the only thing you've got is the water filler bottle. But the puncture repair kit does fit very neatly into this spot. This is beautifully fixed. There's a glass roof, which Polestar now tells me has a shade available for it, though it's not automatic. It's one of those put-up jobs that you've got to put up inside. Personally, I'd put it up and leave it up. Glass roofs, I think, are just the work of the devil. This four-door shape looks very smart, very executive-esque, but it does have its drawbacks. Not the least being trying to get in, which I'm going to demonstrate now is not easy. Jeez. I really did have to duck my head down under this thing. It was absolutely hideous. But once you're in, it is fairly comfortable, though it is incredibly snug. There's some USB outlets, seat heating, vents for air, and plenty of seat legroom. And the upholstery all feels very, what's the word, sporty. There's a lovely view from back here, but you do have to kind of move your head over to get it. And if you're wondering why there's a cord coming down like this for my Navman, is because this little cord for the Navman, which is 3 meters long, runs all the way through the car, through the ski hatch and up the front. The seats do fold down, but of course I don't want them folded down all the time. Other than that, the only other thing in the back is a charging cable. But there is this rather neat semi-electric tow bar. Now you may notice that there's a software update available for this car. I'm not going to click yes because it takes an hour and a half, during which time you cannot use your car. My Apple CarPlay, this is the difference between this and when I drove it last time. It didn't have Apple CarPlay. So I plugged it in, switched to CarPlay, yes. Now the strange thing is, the Google Maps on my phone aren't the same as the Google Maps in the car. And on this review, I'd like to concentrate more on the interface and the performance, because not a lot's changed performance-wise. There's a couple of things to note. First of all, if I'm going to navigate, then I'm going to navigate using the car's navigation, Google, not mine. This is the interface. This is all you have. There's no conventional radio, there's no conventional anything. If I press the radio app, this is what pops up. So there's nothing recognizable as conventional instruments, and yet this feels incredibly familiar. And I would imagine to anyone that has a Google phone, it's even more familiar. But anyway, let's go back. Car controls, by the way, are here. This is where you adjust the steering feel. You can put sports mode on the ESC, but I don't ever fiddle with stability control. Down below is the one pedal drive, and that's another big difference between this car and some of the competitors. This is more like a Tesla Model 3 if Tesla Model 3 had been designed properly. You've got instruments in front, but there's no heads-up display, which is really annoying. This is digital, full width. This tablet's digital, that's full width as well. Now it's telling me that I've currently got 35% of battery. So what I'm going to do is enter my address, the address that I want to go to, and it'll tell me how much battery I've got left when I get there, which I don't think is going to be very much. I can either press the voice button or I can just say, "Hey Google, take me to..."
Navigating to...
Now, funnily enough, that found it instantly. One thing I've noticed is that using Apple Maps or any other kind of thing, sometimes this is incredibly difficult to find. But anyway, it is going to take me to my address. I can also get, once I'm underway, those instructions here in the driver's instruments as well. The buttons on the steering wheel can be a little bit confusing. They're not easily marked and they change function depending on what you want to do with them, which is very annoying. There's no start button, just putting my bum on the seat was sufficient, and off I go. Now the interesting thing is, there's no drive modes. It's just all the power is available all of the time. As I said, 4.7 seconds to 100 is nothing to sniff at in anyone's language. But the main thing about all electric cars is how quiet they are. Now this has larger wheels, so you'd expect it to be a little bit noisier than would otherwise be. As I said, outside, coming down this piece of road, the superbike just could not keep up with me. Could not. This thing, corn is incredibly flat, and it does it with smart suspension that is not adjustable suspension. So it's not that electronic stuff, it's just smart. Oh, and to say this is a delight is a huge understatement. Now you might well be asking, and I'm asking the same question, why on earth Polestar is still a brand that's been split off? Because they did that when it was a performance arm of Volvo. It was probably more important then than it is now, because frankly, electric cars, they'll go as fast as the motor and the batteries will, as far and as fast as the motor and batteries will allow. The charging isn't as fast as EVs from the Hyundai group, and performance for this is more or less on a par with the Kia EV6. But the EV6 has a little more space in the back, and that is because the EV6 is an electric platform, so it was built as an electric car from the ground up. This, although it's shared with various Volvo models, is not. The main difference between this and almost every other car in the market is its interface. So the interface between the driver and the car. This Google one, if you are used to using Google and home automation and so forth, which I am, it's a revelation. For example, hey Google, turn on dining light.
All right, turning the dining room lamp on.
That means my light at home has been turned on. Hey Google, turn off family room TV.
Sure, turning the family room TV off.
That's going to annoy anybody at home that is watching the TV currently. But anyway, so let's wrap this up. The Google interface is, I think, the best there is. It's the best of its kind. It's the easiest to operate once you get used to it. It can interface with your other devices, it can interface with your home automation. There's a careful watch on how much CO2 is produced by the car when making it, while using it, and when recycling it. The handling is absolutely sensational. The looks, I think, are wonderful. Everything about Polestar is so precise. The steering is beautiful, handling is beautiful. The ride, very firm. but it's not unpleasant. It's not harsh, not by any means. And that's all this week from Polestar 2, a car I would buy with my own money. To go any faster, you've got to pay a lot more money. But anyway, as usual, hit like, leave a comment, and just over there to subscribe.